Dr. Divya Verma Gakhar, Assistant Professor in Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, University School of Management Studies, Delhi. In the series of lectures related to working capital management, today we are going to talk about two important aspects of working capital, of current assets, that is cash and receivables. So if we talk about current assets, in the previous lecture we have already talked about inventory management. So there are three important current assets of a company. One is cash, receivables and inventory. Inventory, we have discussed that it is the most illiquid current asset. Cash is another important current asset which is related with returns and which is related with ensuring the profitability of the company. A company without cash cannot do anything. So managing the cash as a current asset, cash means cash, bank balance and other marketable securities which are like cash items. So at any point of time, maintaining cash by a company is very, very important decision. How much cash do we maintain is a strategic decision, because if we keep more cash, we lose on profitability. If we keep less cash, then we lose on our creditworthiness, because our payments will get delayed, or it can lead to default by a company, and it can affect the goodwill of the company. So how much cash a company will maintain at any point of time, it is a very important decision for a finance manager. So cash management techniques provide us, help us to take decisions related to how to manage our cash well. Why managing cash is important? Managing cash is important because keeping idle cash is not a good idea for a company, because it is going to affect the profitability of the company, because you're losing on interest, you're losing on returns for the company if you're maintaining less cash balance. But if you maintain huge amount of cash balance, that is also not a good idea. But if you will maintain less amount of cash balance, that also is not advisable, because then you will be losing on your liquidity, and you will be losing on your technical solvency of the company, because you will not be able to make the payments on time, and there will be a lot of loss for the company in terms of its creditworthiness, in terms of its goodwill, in terms of its credibility which it has in the for the routine payments it is going to make. So that is why cash management is very, very important. As we all understand, cash is a current asset. It includes money in hand, bank and marketable securities. Cash is very important because it is one resource which can be useful to acquire other assets. Idle cash, we all understand, is unproductive, and there is always a cash gap between cash inflows and outflows. So effective cash management means we are timing our inflows in such a way that they are able to finance the outflows, or they are able to make the payments of the outflows on time. So synchronization of cash inflows and outflows is very, very important task in the life of a finance manager for a company. Now, talking about what are the motives of holding cash. Why do companies or why do people hold cash? There are three motives why we keep cash. One is transaction motive, precautionary motive and speculative motive. Transaction motive of keeping cash is that cash is required for making day-to-day transactions, for making payments on time, for buying and selling things. We need cash. We need cash for precautionary motive also, because in precautionary motive we are looking at if there is some exigency which comes, if there is some kind of let's say emergency situation comes, some accident happens, or to meet unforeseen circumstances for a company, we need to maintain cash. And third is speculative motive. Whenever some good opportunity comes, wherever we can encash some profitable situation, we need to maintain cash for the company. So managing cash means we need to accelerate our cash inflows and slow down our cash outflows. That is a good cash management. How a company can accelerate cash inflows. So accelerating cash inflows means that when a company is going to receive payments, it should ensure that all its money which is going to come from various sources, it should come quickly, it should come timely. There should not be any delay in receiving those inflows, and those dates are maintained when we are going to receive the inflows. So any mismanagement in receiving inflows is going to affect our working capital, is going to affect our outflows payment, and is going to will not look like that the manager is managing it efficiently. So for ensuring that the effectiveness of the manager, we need to see that inflows are accelerated well in time, are managed well in time. So various methods are there for accelerating cash inflows. One is that we can ensure prompt payment by our customers. We can ask our customers to make the payment quickly on time whenever they are buying goods, so we can give them some motivation to buy goods on cash. Then we need to have ensure that we are quickly converting payments into cash. That means we are reducing the deposit float. So if we receive any payment by check or by any other method, which is the payment is received in the books of accounts but is not received in our bank account, so that delay, that float, which is earlier used to be known as deposit float, because it used to include postal float, because some of your client is sending you a check by post, it is received by you, you will take 2-3 days of lethargy of depositing as a manager that check into the bank account of the company, and then collection time of the bank is going to take, let's say, 1 day for receiving the money from the check from the company from one bank to the other bank. So collection time will include. So all of this is deposit float. Although by making the payments on RTGS or NEFT and online transactions of internet banking has ensured that this deposit float is reduced, but still for many companies we still understand that a lot of payments are received in the form of check. So receiving a check payment and depositing that check in the bank account, and then the collection time which the bank is going to take, all that need to be reduced, because it is going to affect your bank balance at the end of the day. Decentralized collections can be taken. For example, for companies like mobile companies, so they have this decentralization collection method. So you need not, let's say you have a phone of, you have a connection of Airtel or Vodafone, you need not go to the Vodafone company to make the payment of bill. So that can be made online nowadays. Otherwise, there are a lot of bill kiosks, a lot of retail stores where, on a grocery store or on a specific store, you can go and make the payment. Why they have created this decentralized collection? So that from receiving payment from all over India, from all the people around who are using their service, so that they are able to make the payment on time and no delay happens because of the distance which is there. Lockbox systems can be ensured. There can be a lockbox that in that post box or in that lockbox you can one can drop in the check and somebody can collect that check specific to that company, and then they can reduce the number of days which collection time takes. Electronic fund transfer is one method which a company should promote. Company should ask its client and customers to make the payment electronically through NEFT, through other methods, so that quickly inflows are received by the company. Then we need to, as a manager, we need to ensure the methods of slowing the cash outflows. How companies can ensure slowing down the cash outflows? Company can make payment on the last day. Company can make sure that any payment which they have to make, they should be made on the last day, so that you are getting few number of days for managing your funds. Adjusting payroll funds. So it was a practice earlier, but nowadays all salaries are being credited to the company employees through NEFT. Otherwise, companies, still some companies follow a practice that they do not pay salaries on the 1st of every month. They pay salary during the first week or on 7th or on 5th of every month. So they in that way are delaying some of the payments, slowing down some of the payments, so that matching between inflows and outflows can be done. Centralization of payments is done. So centralization of payment can be one method how a company can slow down the cash outflows by that from the head office the payment will be released and the check will have 2-3 signatories. This is how companies ensure that payments get slowed down. Interbank transfers take 1 or 2 days, so that can be one method how a company can use the slowdown. Company can make use of float, that they can also make use of sending payments by check, which will give them a margin of 2-3 days where they can manage their cash in outflows at that point of time. There are few models of cash management which we are going to discuss. One is William J. Baumol's model. It is an optimum cash balance model which gives us a trade-off between opportunity cost and the cost of borrowing and holding cash and transaction cost. The assumption of this model is that the cash flows are certain, the cash usage of the firm is uniform over a period of time, and the opportunity cost and the transaction cost is known to the company and it remains constant. So just like the EOQ formula which we discussed for inventory, this formula says that optimum balance of cash can be calculated as under root of 2 into annual cash usage multiplied with fixed cost per transaction divided by the opportunity cost of holding cash. Second model of cash management is Miller and Ord model. Miller and Ord model talks about that a company should define two control limits, upper control limit and lower control limit, in terms of maintaining the cash balance. So what happens when the cash balance of a company reaches the upper control limit, company should withdraw that cash and invest in some marketable securities to the extent that it reaches the normal level. When the cash balance reduces to the lower control limit, we should as a company sell securities to reach to the normal cash balance. And the spread between the upper control limit and the lower control limit is known as Z. So this can be calculated as 3 multiplied by 3/4 of transaction cost multiplied with variance of cash flows divided by interest rate to the power 1/3. Now, if we see this diagram, it shows the lower control limit which is set by the company and the upper control limit. As soon as the cash balance of a company reaches to the upper control limit, a company should buy the marketable securities and its balance will reduce to the normal level, which is known as a return point. And if the cash balance due to making a lot of payments reaches to the lower control limit, it should sell the marketable securities and so that it reaches to the return point. And again, this cycle can be repeated n number of times. Now let's talk about the third important aspect of current assets, which will ensure effective working capital management of the company, that is receivables management. Receivables management or debtors management or management of those people who have purchased goods on credit of the company is very, very important. So because it constitutes a major component of company's sales, which are the goods sold on credit. So the purpose of receivable management is to promote sales of the company and profits until that point is reached with the returns of the company which it gets from the funding of receivables is less than the cost that company has to incur in order to fund these receivables. Now, why receivables management is important? Because receivables would ensure, if a company has receivables or if the company is selling goods on credit, that means it is generating debtors. It is very important for the profitability of the company because it ensures more sales of the company. It ensures your competitive position because maybe your competitors are also selling goods on credit. So you are able to attract more customers to you and generate more sales by selling goods on credit. So as a company, it is always advisable to have a policy of creating debtors or receivables. Apart from that, but there is a cost involved to receivables because the number of days which you allow for your debtors to make the payment, so there are chances that some of the debtors are good debtors, some of the debtors can become bad debtors. So if there are bad debtors, that's a huge loss to the company. So they have to ensure that the debtors do not turn bad, or even if they turn bad, they are to the minimum. And then of the good debtors, they have to ensure a credit policy for themselves. A company needs to have a credit policy which ensures the payment method, which will ensure that how the company is going to ensure the debtors will make the payment, what will be the process of making the payment, and how the company is going to effectively ensure that the collections of from the debtors is made on time and there's no default in that, and how many number of days generally a company is going to allow its debtors to make the payment. That is also important for the company. So thus, Having more debtors or having receivables policy or credit policy of a company will ensure higher profitability to a company if the credit policy is strict, or the payments are ensured from those debtors. So what is the cost of maintaining receivables for a company? One, you need to have an additional fund to fund for those number of days when the debtors are not going to make the payment. You have to ensure for working capital, you have to ensure for additional funds. So there is opportunity cost or interest cost involved with managing of funds during the time when you are allowing the debtors to make the payment late. There is administrative cost because you need to have a credit department, you need to have a collection department in your organization which is ensuring and finding out that the debtors are making the payment on time. So there is collection costs. So you will make, your company employees are going to make phone calls from the collection department, or would issue letters, emails to the clients that the payments have become due. In case there are bad debts, so that also is a cost. In case there are delay in payments, so there is legal course of action which a company can take, so that also involves some cost that the company has to ensure. And fourth is kind of cost which is also there, that is default costs. So default cost is the amount of in case there are bad debts, so how the company is going to manage it. Now, factors that influence the size of receivables depends on the size of credit sales of the company, credit policy of the company, terms of trade, expansion plan, its relations with the profitability, credit collection efforts of the company, and habits of the customers. What is the credit policy of a company? Credit policy of the company encompasses the policy of a company in respect to credit standards adopted by the company, period over which credit is extended to the customers, any incentive in the form of cash, discount offered, and also to the period over which the discount can be utilized by the customers, and the collection effort made by the company. So every company needs to have a credit policy. A company can have a tight credit policy or a loose credit policy. That will also determine how much sales a company is going to make, what kind of relations a company is going to have with their customers, and how well they'll be able to collect the money back from the customers. So there are 4 variables of collection policy of a company. These include credit standards, credit period, cash discount, and collection program of a company. Now, a company has to ensure that there are certain, so they have to ensure some credit standards. Credit standards means that who will be those customers who are going to get the credit, who will be sold goods on credit. Does a company look at the past performance of those clients? Are those clients good clients in terms of their credit worthiness? So the company will check the credit worthiness of those clients, maybe based on the CIBIL score, or maybe based on their past relation with those clients, or some other method they would, whether they are coming with some reference or something like that. So they would ensure that some credit standards or some things are checked. What is the income statement of the company, the client? Are they clients earning profit for last many years? Have they ever defaulted in their dealings? So all of these things can be checked and find out. One can find out that what is the credit worthiness of their client. Based on that, it can be decided whether the goods will be sold on credit to those customers or not. Second aspect to it is credit period. How many number of days a company is going to allow its customers to make the payment. A tight credit policy would have less number of days which a company allows its customers to make the payment, but a light or a lenient credit policy, for such companies they would allow more number of days for the creditors to make for the debtors to make the payment. Third is cash discount. Does the company give some kind of promotion in terms of that if you will make the payment on time, or if you will make prepayment, you will get cash discount. So if the company is coming up with such kind of offers, there are chances that the company will have less number of defaulters, or people will be encouraged to make payment well in advance or on time. And fourth aspect is collection program. So what is the collection department of the company? What kind of framework or structure they have? How do they ensure that the payments are collected, the money is collected from the debtors, in terms of how many phone calls you will make to the client to remind that the payment is due and the payment due date is coming, and then how many reminder calls will be made if the payment is delayed, what legal course of action will be taken on those clients, those customers who have defaulted the payment, who have not made the payment on time. So all of these things need to be ensured in the credit policy of the company. Looking at the credit evaluation, when a company is deciding about that, what are the factors it is going to take into consideration to check the credit worthiness of the customers. So credit worthiness of a customer can be checked based on three aspects, based on the character, capacity, and the collateral. So character means that what has been the past behavior of that customer with the company or with other companies, whether the person is a defaulter or he's a good trustworthy person. Capacity, whether the company or the customer has a capacity to pay, that means does he has any kind of regular income through which it can be ensured that they'll be able to make the payments. And third is the collateral, in case there is some sort of collateral which needs to be kept, that if the payment is not received, then what? Then are you going to keep some of your asset as pledge or for ensuring the collection? To ensure the capacity of a person, that whether he'll be able to make the payment on time, there can be various ratios. If that customer is let's say a company form of organization or a firm, then we can look at the current ratio of the client, quick ratio, average payment period, average collection period, capital structure ratio, return on equity. And character can be checked by obtaining bank references, by looking at firm's past experience with that client. So these things can be looked at. So talking about the receivables management, ensuring that you have a good credit policy is very important as a company. Then also ensuring that you are competitive by providing the best kind of credit policy in the whole market, so that you have more sales, your profitability will increase because of your credit policy. You need to have receivables. But we need to also see that your collection program and the way you are encouraging your clients to make the payment and ensuring that they do not default is also very, very important to ensure the profitability of the company. Because conversion of debtors into cash is most important aspect of your inflows, is most important aspect of your working capital management and the profitability of the company. So in case there is any default that takes place in that is going to affect the whole profitability of the business and will not be taken into good spirit by the company. So working capital management as a topic which we have discussed in length in these series of lectures, and wants to the purpose is to ensure that the day-to-day management of funds and the current assets and the current liabilities is done in such a way that the company is able to have higher profits and is able to have goodwill in the market and is able to achieve its objective of wealth maximization. Thanks for watching. For any queries, you can write to us on the email. Thank you very much.